Nice to be with you, Pete. It's been another long day of jury selection at the Proud Boy trial, and Norm Pattis is frustrated. He's sitting there shaking his head as Judge Timothy Kelly, a Trump-appointed judge, continues to qualify or left-wing activists who attended the Women's March, who are ardent supporters of Black Lives Matter for jury members. And so now, today, I believe they are 37 potential jurors qualified for jury selection. There's four leaders of the Proud Boys on trial. My good friend Enrique Tarrio, Joe Biggs, Ethan Nordian, and Dominic Pizzola. And literally, it's the same story every day. Another left-wing activist who exemplifies bias against the Proud Boys gets qualified. The defense team is pleading with the judge to hold this trial in a different state where every potential jury member isn't a left-wing radical activist. And most of the potential jury members are liberal women. I haven't really seen many Black men or men in general be potential jury members, just a handful. So I'm not sure how this is going to pan out at the end. We have hope that this defense team is going to make the argument for this case to be dismissed. And as you know, the Proud Boys are facing 20-year prison sentence for sedition charges and conspiring an insurrection and using social media to conspire this insurrection against members of Congress.
No, about as accurate as Russia collusion. I mean, it's one story after the next. But we have 54 seconds left. And in this segment, I'm going to set the pace here. We're going to do a 30-minute segment together. And I want to set the tempo going forward. Now, because of my experience, I know that from my trials that the jury was furious because they kept having to leave the courtroom. And they knew it was a high-profile trial. This is the trial of the century, and 12 people are going to be escorted out of the courtroom over and over and over again. And you, Alicia Powe, are dedicated to, of course, letting the public know that the jury's going to render a verdict. It's a stacked jury. It's a leftist jury. It's in favor of the deep state, and they didn't even hear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. On the other side, we'll talk more about that. Don't go away, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a perfect planetary alignment, okay? Despite your anxiety, despite your feeling of that all hope is lost, you know, remember David, all he needed was just a bag of stones. That's all we need. Remember the Patriots in the boat, the rowboat. I think they were also bailing out water because there was a hole in the boat. They didn't have socks. They didn't have shoes. They were with George Washington. They were cold. They crossed the Delaware. They achieved something impossible that what? We actually have inherited. We've inherited. Now, before we went to the break, I said to Alicia, and I'm going to give her the opportunity to speak to this and speak to our listening audience. There are going to be things, the majority of which the jury's never going to hear. So we're going to have 12 people seated. Right now, the judge is saying, well, I only have leftists to work with, so I'm going to try to take the best of what I have, and I'm going to seat them. And all of these leftist jurors are going to be sitting there, but even they will get frustrated because in Portland, Oregon, guess what, Alicia? A leftist jury in Portland, Oregon, ultimately, in the end, they got ticked off because they had information kept from them, and they deemed the government to be the criminals in the end, and they acquitted we deplorables in Portland, Oregon. So I'm optimistic, and I know that you're going to be looking for that, and tell the American people, because we're going to prosecute this in the court of public opinion, that the jury is never going to hear the truth about what really happened on January 6th, are they?
Well, let's see if the defense team is given the opportunity to make the argument, and these government prosecutors there that are masked up on the right side of the courtroom. I mean, you have the government prosecutors there wearing masks, and one of them just lifts his mask down to bite his nails and chew on his pen It goes to show you where the illogic that they comply with is just demonstrable with them wearing these masks all day. And, so Carmen Hernandez, the attorney representing Joe Biggs, before I left, is just pouring her heart out, saying in all of her years of practicing law, she's never seen such a stacked jury, such a biased jury that continues to be qualified.
Is that a quote? I'm sorry to interrupt
the attorney
you.
Representing,
Is that I'm sorry? Is that an exact quote from Carmen?
Pretty much. I mean, she went on in about 10 minutes. The judge is, insisting she be quiet, insisting she stop interrupting and making the same point over and over, saying the point is moot. And Norm Pattis called this an unadorable farce, an unadorable farce that one person, one juror, potential juror after another takes the stand, and they claim that Proud Boys conspired the murder in Charlottesville. This jury, potential juror, was qualified. They get their information from CNN. They don't know that much about it. They tune out only from what they hear on CNN about the Proud Boys. This juror is qualified. Earlier, I got to the court after the lunch recess, and evidently, according to the family members in attendance, a former CIA agent qualified as a jury member. So,
can I ask you a question?
There's not been one potential jury member that does not have this disdain for President Trump and this disdain for the Proud Boys. And I don't know where we go from here, and the attorneys don't know where we go from here.
Well, can I ask you something? They should be re-polled. Is there going to be another round of screening the jurors?
Well, it's not complete yet, so they need to get 47 potential jury members qualified, and then move to the selection process after that. Tomorrow it'll reconvene from 9 a.m. till 12 till noon, and then again on Monday. And it would be nice if anyone was at least a little bit nonpartisan so far.
Well, the question...
every single one of them has been to a Black Lives Matter rally. Every single one of them has been or a women's march, and immediately called the Proud Boys a far right, white supremacist group of agitators.
The question that I want to ask, and hopefully this will get to the attorneys, is to poll the jurors and to find out how many of them have been vaccinated. And that should automatically disqualify them, because if they can't take care of their own facilities, how are they going to determine the sustainability of somebody else and their life being, hanging in the balance? If they were vaccinated, they don't qualify.
Pete, if you're a Black Lives Matter activist.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
If you're in a women's march, then you're an activist, and you already have this disdain for the right or the Proud Boys. That's like, you're not going to get a fair-minded person at these rallies ever. And we can play clips of all the women's marches we've covered over the years and all the Black Lives Matter rallies. It's like you're sitting there with a bunch of Nazis. And I said this earlier. The judge is a Nazi. The jury members have this Nazi ideology. And obviously, when they take the stand and they're wearing their mask and they try to mumble whatever they're saying through their mask, you already know where they stand. They believe the lies the mainstream media is selling. And they get all of their information by default through mainstream media programming. So that's the jury. I've been here for 2 days now, 2 full days pretty much, and it's the same thing over and over again.
Now, Alicia, right now we're in is it a boring phase? I'm going to refer to it as this type of a phase. They're very, very patient. Like when they run their color revolutions, you have to figure January 6th and what led up to that, there was a lot of planning. The knock at the door at Jeremy Brown's house, them asking him to infiltrate. They had the infiltrators. They had the social media influence operation going on. Of course, we know that Parler, the majority of them were FBI feds. I had 1,000 online covert investigators in my chat threads. that were trying to take me down. And then they use that as evidence in the courtroom. But this is what they're setting the stage for, is to ultimately cover up their criminality. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to have a group of people that are going to be sympathetic to their cause, and then they're going to try to withhold information that even in the court of public opinion, it should be in the court of public opinion, of course, but they're going to suppress information as they have been. These attorneys right now, you sense their frustration. Are they fighting? I mean, my standard is they should be tased. They should be tased.
They're fighting, and the judge doesn't want to hear it. The judge is exhausted with. So what happens all day long in this courthouse right now is another left-wing activist comes to the stand. Their bias is clear as day. They're given a questionnaire before they get to the stand, and they're asked if they can put their bias aside. They ask what they believe about Black Lives Matter, what they've heard about the Proud Boys, and they're all so eager. There are these left-wing activists that are so eager to be jury members. And you got to remember, what is the mentality of these left-wing activists? A lot of them are outside of the D.C. jail saying they're happy Ashley Babbitt died, screaming in Nikki Whithoff's face, Ashley Babbitt's mother's face, swearing and throwing profanities around. That's the mentality of the left, and that's what we're dealing with these potential jury members. And so all day long, they take the stand. The judge kind of coaxes them, kind of coaches them, and helps them. Like one potential jury member said that she didn't know anything about J6. She didn't know anything about Black Lives Matter. Her parents worked for Congress throughout her whole life, though, worked in the House of Representatives her whole life, and she is going to start working as a political writer for her dad's startup. And the judge, so the defense.
We have 30 seconds left.
Did she just say she's going to be a political writer? And he claimed she called herself an environmental writer.
Listen,
and
on the
so
other,
that sort
on
of
the
thing
other
is
side,
happening where the judge is
Alicia,
defending this.
Alicia, we're going to go to a break on the other side of the break. This is what I want to talk about, all right? Because these leftists, whatever happened to them opposed to a deep state police state, whatever happened to them? I want to, not that they're tuned into this broadcast, but, I want to start putting it out there because I went through this experience. I was in Portland, Oregon. In fact, some of the attorneys that were on our legal team in Portland, Oregon, were trolling us and calling us a bunch of extremist, toothless, gun-toting terrorists. One of the attorneys actually started out on Twitter criticizing everybody, including myself, for being a bunch of okey-doke, Bible-thumping domestic terrorists. And before it was all over, he was siding with the Constitution, and he now carries a pocket Constitution in his left breast pocket. And the Portland jury said it was the government who actually broke the law. And the joke was at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge is that 8 people, protesters, went into the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge and occupied it. 35 of them were FBI informants. There was an entrapment. They were the only ones that broke the law. Nobody was ever held accountable because they were working for the FBI. Now I want to say we're well past January 6th. Forget about backing the blue. Set that aside. Now that blue that we've always backed is now turning on America, turning on our Constitution. Whatever happened to you leftists? Alicia, whatever happened to the BLM activists that are getting seated, the Antifa supporters that are going to get seated in the jury box? Those should be the perfect candidates to prosecute the government for doing awful things and breaking the law, shouldn't they? Speak to those people that could be in that jury box that just a few weeks ago were saying, let's defund the police, and we don't trust the government, we don't trust the blue. Let's speak to them, would you please? Talk some sense into them.
These are the same people that are proponents of that government vaccine mandates, but they're so-called allegedly protesting the government. No, they are just bots of the mainstream media. They are just minions. They go and espouse the talking points that they're given by the New World Order, and they're incapable of thinking for themselves. And if you really, back the blue, the police turning against the American people is basically what we've been seeing. And to think that any of these left-wing activists are going to demonstrate any kind of impartiality, I think is ridiculous. It's like, why are we in the crisis that we are in today? It's because these people go along with the programming. Whether it comes to COVID or January 6th, they espouse the same talking points they're given by CNN. We know this already. We can try to wake people up as much and think that and be hopeful that there's going to be some different outcome regarding this J6 trial. Miracles are possible, but the way things look right now, this is obviously the judge. For all we know, these judges are compromised. I mean, right after I left the courtroom yesterday, I get a tip. Someone saying has a video of how John Roberts is compromised, and there's tapes of him doing illegal things, and who knows? Are these judges compromised? There's no way you can call yourself an impartial judge like Timothy Kelly and qualify all these left-wing activists. There's no way. That's what's happened for the past 2 days, Pete. And no, I don't think these Antifa people, they're all ignorant when you actually engage with them. Anytime over the past 5 years when they're on the other side of the Trump rally, they're completely ignorant. Ignorant of American history. They don't have any facts. They're trying to be a part of a group and looking for acceptance and trying to be cool. And it's the same thing at every left-wing rally. And unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that we don't see any nonpartisan jury members in Washington, D.C., or potential jury members, Pete.
No, I mean that 10 square miles, as they say, of Washington, D.C., has become infected. There is a virus. It's called George Soros-ism. These bureaucrats, for instance, that, oh, my family has worked for the government. These are, I call them chimpanzees. You ever seen that commercial where the chimps are dressed up in business suits and they're sitting in the conference room just throwing bananas at each other? They produce nothing. They're bureaucrats. They get paid to suck the lifeblood out of our system. They're antithetical to what America is all about. But those are the people where we have our lives in their hands, these bureaucrats. Can you imagine? But guess what?
Here's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it feels like. 2 short years ago, I was with Enrique and Joe, and we were celebrating freedom, maybe leaving an event, leaving a walk-away gala. Who would have guessed? Blocks away, they'd be facing these life sentences for sedition. And now the jury members and these left-wing activists are under the impression that getting folks to come to the rally, using social media to organize a rally is sedition. And these are the same folks that attended the Women's March and the Black Lives Matter rallies. And you can always find how they're organizing online. Any day of the week, there's a Black Lives Matter event that you can find on Facebook. So that's sedition now. They've been told by mainstream media that that's sedition, and it's ridiculous. And also, I ran into Roberto Menudo. His trial was underway at this courthouse as well today. He was one of Roger Stone's security guards who went in the Capitol simply to tell everyone to leave the Capitol. And for a few minutes, he's also facing seditious conspiracy charges and a 20-year sentence. Fortunately, he is not in prison. He is let out because he really didn't do anything, but he's still facing these heavy-duty criminal charges.
Yeah.
So, I mean, while we get to go home at night, and I'm frustrated from watching this biased jury, Dominic Pizzola, Enrique Tarrio, they go back to their cold jail cells. And actually, Dominic Pizzola's wife broke down in tears today because she just learned that Dominic is being starved in jail. He has an allergic reaction to soy, and they only feed him soy. And he's taking it up with the guards. Please, I need to eat something else. This is giving me diarrhea and stomach pains and all these problems. And now he's being penalized for that. And the only thing he's able to eat is ramen noodles, chips, every single day.
Listen,
They gave him drugs last night before trial to make him go to sleep. So, I mean, this is a gulag.
We have 1 minute left of our segment, okay? And I want to remind everybody that it's really important that you stay tuned to the updates. Alicia Powell is the court reporter. There is no camera. If she was not there doing twice daily updates, we would not know about the injustice in our system. When you're in the gallery, the Constitution applies. Do you believe, on the other side, I have 45 seconds here. Does the Constitution apply? I'll give you an example. Is there a reason why they won't let these guys out to defend in their cases, to get proper dietary? This isn't just complaining. That's in violation of even the U.S. Marshal standards. But isn't there a reason why they're holding them in the gulag? You got 10 seconds to make a comment here on our way out.
They want to make an example of these men. They're telling you that they're destroying the Constitution.
Yeah.
If you go out and you protest and you practice your First Amendment rights and protest election fraud, you too are next. The government will come after you. We already know.
I want to appeal as we go out.
Us.
Alicia, stay right there. If you have more commentary, I'll let you come in. Stay right there. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One quick note here before I let really the only court reporter that exists. We have the trial of the century. We have the entire government spending hundreds of millions of dollars to prosecute America, and there's no mainstream media anywhere to be found. And there's only one court reporter right now, and I'm going to show you where her updates are located. When I said text text TOTC, this is where you'll land. Trial of the century. The only court reporter right now on the face of the planet as she goes back to her busy work is Alicia Powell. Does it make you mad, or is it a high honor? I mean, aren't you upset that you're the only real court reporter that's covering the trial of the century right now? Where's the mainstream media?
I feel an obligation to come here. I was exhausted after watching this shellacking, this jury, this Black Lives Matter Women's March activist jury get selected or qualified yesterday. And, you know, I think what is Enrique and Joe and Dominic and Ethan and all of the other J6 defendants, they have to go back to their cold cells. Yeah. I get to go home at night, and I felt obligated to come back here this morning. It's just me, their mom or wives, and that's it. Where's the other alternative media outlets? Where's even the mainstream media? I think there's a Reuters reporter who was related to one of the wives who's been covering the Proud Boys case. And that says a lot about the potential jury member, right?
Let's do this.
Her husband works for Reuters.
I'm going to put this brief little segment up on Band.video. I'm going to put it out on all of our channels. I want you to tell anybody right now, if you're in the vicinity of Washington, D.C., you need to get there and get in the gallery and support your fellow Americans. Please.
Please. It's sad. I know they're happy to see me show up, and there's no other reporters showing up. So I'm going to do my best to make it here daily, and we're still in jury selection. When they start presenting this evidence, I'll be giving the updates. Thank you, Pete. God bless everybody.
Thank you, diligent. Alicia. Good job. All right. One of the most important challenges our country is facing is healthcare. Hi, this is Pete Santilli, and I want to introduce you to Global Tech, and that's with a K, MD. This is a 100% conservative, patriot-run telemedicine company dedicated to health freedom for all Americans. But don't take my word for it. Just take a look at their board of directors. Deb and I joined Global Tech MD, and I tell you, we couldn't be happier. We got the first month for only $9.95, and you will too by using promo code Pete or by calling 844-GLOBE-MD. That's 844-456-2363. Or go to globaltechmd.com. Global Tech MD gives you so much medical guidance without ever leaving the comfort of your home. You get access to U.S. board-certified doctors in your area 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with no consultation fees, no copays, and no walk-in clinics. And the best part is, it covers your entire family. Global Tech MD also gets you up to 85% savings on prescription drugs at participating pharmacies. And did you know 73% of all doctor visits can be avoided with a simple telemedicine phone call? Stop paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month on expensive health care. Global Tech MD is redefining what it means to make house calls. Call them from the comfort of your home, and one of their network doctors will call you back within minutes. Don't wait. Call 844-GLOBE-MD or globaltechmd.com today. That's globaltechmd.com.